Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome everyone to another installment of Smash That Small Paper Pad collab hosted by Deb Houck. And again, the premise for this collab is to smash as many small paper pads as we can in the year. There are a number of talented ladies who are participating in this collab, and I do have links listed below in the description box. So make sure you open it up and check out everybody's channel to see what they are creating. And again, I can never seem to work from just one paper pad, so I choose several at a time to work with. And so I'm slowly working on smashing all of these paper pads that you see. I did finally smash this one, the Bo Bunny Butterfly Kisses paper pad, and there isn't anything left of that one. I can't remember last month if I pulled this one out and showed you guys or not, but I did pull this one out to start working on. I haven't done anything with this one, but this one is Bo Bunny, and it's the Secret Garden collection. I am still continuing to work from this Kaiser craft one called Time Machine, and this one does have a lot of die cuts in it, and so I probably won't use all of the die cuts on this one, but I will smash all of the paper. And whenever I have little die cuts left, I have a pile of stuff that I throw into my junk journal pile that I like to dig through when I create things. And so that one I did make a little bit more progress, I think, on this paper pad. I also every month have been pulling out a couple sheets from this Graphic 45 Children's Hour, which they had sheets for each month. And then I also am working on this paper pad from 7 Gypsies, and this one I actually added a few extra sheets to it, so I started off with 59 sheets. And I had received a few sheets from a friend that came from a 7 Gypsies paper pad also. So I'm working with a few extra sheets on this one. And to begin with, I will show you guys the Graphic 45 papers that I worked on. So I did create a couple of cards. And so this month was May, so here is the May card that I created, and this one would be maybe for a Mother's Day card. It says, "For you, Mother," and it's the image of the mom with all the kids. And so I just did some layering, added a little flower there. I didn't particularly like this month's color. It's kind of a peachy color, and I just didn't really care for it. So I had a tough time creating stuff with this paper color scheme this month. And then the other one that I created was this one, and I do have the punch outs for this paper collection, and so this little image right here came from the punch outs, and this one just says, "On your special day," and the sentiment says, "May flowers always line your path and sunshine light your day." And I did use some of the paper strips, I think, on the insides of each of the cards just to use them up. And I had a few pieces left over. Again, these are just going to go into my junk journal pile that I'll dig through and use. And then one of these calendar cards came from this month, and then I had one left over from last month, and I just went ahead and sewed it. So I just wanted to show you guys. That's what I've been doing with the calendar cards that are for each month, is I just been making journal cards to use in junk journals. So these ones I just sewed onto some tea-dyed paper or index cards. So that's what I did with the Graphic 45 paper pad. And then for everything that I finished up with this Bo Bunny Butterfly Kisses collection, I did any scraps. I did just go ahead and cut out little banner pieces so that I could throw those into my junk journal pile, which is what I like to do, is I either cut out little labels or banner pieces, stuff like this, that I can use in my junk journals. And then I also just created a couple of little books. I just folded the paper in half and corner edged them. And I added, this one has graph paper in the middle of it. And I did put the one paper scrap in here because I think I'm going to make a little pocket right there. And so I might use it on the cover somehow. So I just left that in there. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to use these, if they're just going to go in my purse and I just use them for grocery lists, or if I'll add them to a junk journal. And so I did do that with those 3 sheets because I was struggling with these ones on what to do with those. And then I also had another sheet, and it's this little wood one up here. And you can see part of that paper right here. I did show you guys these already, that I did create these little pocket things. I showed these the other month, and you just glue them down on your junk journal page, and so there'll be a spot up here to add some sort of tag like this once you glue it down. And so I did try to use up this other paper that way, and so I did do some layering, some collaging on it with different bits and pieces. This one I did add a brad up here, and I just kind of have a little spotted just like this, so you can kind of journal on that there. Just kind of a fun little thing to do. And then this side, I had a little punch out, and I know that this little punch out came from a paper pad from last year that I smashed, and I just punched out the pieces that I didn't use on anything to use in journals. And so I just wanted to show you how I use some of those punch outs. So that one I did create a little long skinny tag, and then also this tag right here. And then this one is exactly the same. I did start off with that one main paper, and I did some collaging. This one, instead of a pocket here, I added just some notebook paper or some graph paper. And there's still a spot here where you could add a photo or some more tea-dyed paper and actually journal right there if you wanted to. And again, here I have 2 pockets, so I just stuck some little things from my stash in there. And I created this little collage tag or journal card, and then same with this one. Next, I did tackle a few sheets from this Kaiser craft tie machine, and I am having a hard time with this one. I know early on I used some of the tealy blue colors in here, some of the vintage looking ones, and those went pretty fast, but again, like I said, I was struggling a little bit with this paper pad. And what I ended up doing is I just created a bunch of tags. I pulled out any of the paper that had kind of a vintage feel to them, and so I punched out tags and I decorated them with different things. They all have a gourd or bulb pin, a button, and a scrap piece of lace or crochet trim on them. I did stamp on some of the tags, like this neutral one. There is a stamped image on the background. And not too long ago, my dad gifted me a whole bunch of postage stamps. As a boy, he used to collect postage stamps, and he went through them all and found out that they really were worth nothing, and they were already used and canceled postage stamps, and so he just gave them to me to use them in crafts. And so I just started using some of that pile from my dad gave me, and I'm not going to go through all of these because this would take forever, but just so you know, this whole pile came from that paper pad, and I will try and post some of these maybe on my Instagram so you guys can see some of them if you want to look at them up close. So I did those with this paper pad. And then from this 7 Gypsies paper pad, I decided to decorate some envelopes for journals. And again, my dad gifted me a whole huge box. Like if you were to go to an office supply store and buy a box of window envelopes. I've been saving some window envelopes lately, whether they come in junk mail or and reusing them to make journal stuff for. But my dad picked up a whole big box of these at the thrift store for a couple of bucks. And so I am now going to try and think of as many ways as I can use these envelopes, because I got like 500 of them or something like that. So I have a whole bunch of these to create things with. And so what I ended up doing with the first bit of this paper pad is I decorated the envelopes. I did cut them down slightly, and I made pockets. And so each of these has a pull out. So you can pull this out and journal on it. You can still add if you want. And then I also put some, I think this one's French book page paper behind it. And so if I wanted to, I could still glue down like an image of a flower or something in there, or you could glue down an image of a flower or some sort of decorative element. I didn't do that on any of these. Well, this one maybe I did right there. You can see I glued down a flower, so you had something to look at. And so I did do that in all these. They all have the journal cards that pull out. And I decorated some of them, and some of them I left blank for future decorating. I just wanted to show you guys some ideas on how to decorate them. So you can see on this one, I did add a little eyelet, and then those tags that I just showed you guys, I attached one of those to the eyelets. So that's how I would possibly use some of them in a journal down the road. And I just went through again my little junk journal stash, and I just added different elements of trim and little pieces. Down here I had this cute little image of some little kids. They kind of remind me of little boho or gypsy kids. And I just added the words "The Storyteller." That was a Tim Holtz sticker. And I added this little loopy trim flower, and there's a little piece of tulle underneath it and some more trim at the bottom. So that was that first one. Here's this one. I really like this background paper that was in that Seven Gypsies paper pad. It's very vintage and floral. It looks really pretty. And this one at the top, I added the Tim Holtz stickers that say "Thoughts That Whisper to My Heart." And I added some trim. And also on all of these too, before I sewed them. I did sew them shut, but I also added some little decorative sewing around them. And this one, I was going to make it into a pocket, but then I just ended up gluing everything down on that one. I added that image of a mom and some layered pieces there. And again, this one pulls out. Another one that I decorated, I like this background paper too. This one's kind of a little bit of a shabby vintage feel to it. And again, I also punched out all these pieces right here. With, that was a Sizzix die that I used on those. And just layered up bits and pieces on all of these. Here's another one that I decorated up. This one has a little bee, kind of a nature theme going on it. I had this little die cut left over. It said "Story." And I know last year in this paper pad collab, I created a little mini album. And I had an extra die cut from that. It said like "My Story," and I just had the word "story." So I added that up there, added some trims. And again, also from that same mini album, I had punched out some little tags. These two came from that I had punched out. So I'm finally using them in this little piece in the pocket. And this little tag right here was just from some scrapbooking paper that already had the postcard image on it. And layered up, I think this die cut right here, maybe is a Tracy Fox one right there. And the bee might have came from Artie Mays. And same with the label was from Tracy Fox. The little library card just came from some scrapbooking paper I cut out. And this one I used ledger paper. I had some ledger scrapbooking paper, so I used that one so it has lines in it. This is the one that I showed you that I glued down. I did a little bit of a collage on that one. I just added the music paper and the flower, and I stamped a little bit on it. And I added the words "A Day That I Will Cherish." And you can, of course, still journal on the back side, but you could still kind of journal around this too. But when you put it into the little pocket, you can see the flower through it. And again, I layered up some different pieces from my stash at the bottom and on the sides of that one. And then this one I wanted to show you, this one where I cut out the paper to fit the window envelope on this one. This one I collaged pieces around it. And again, the same with the tabs and stuff. And some of the scrap paper on this one, I punched out the different tabs that I use on the journal cards. I just had some scraps left over, so I just used them up right away and created the little tabs that I can use on future tags or on pullouts. And a lot of these, what I ended up doing, because I don't like them hooking this way, it's a Spellbinders die. You could do it this way, but I'd cut them in half and then I glue them down like this, so then they pull out this way. So I did punch out some of those, and then I had some extra yellow ones that I had punched out too to match some of the paper. So I just stuck those there. That's another thing that I like to use for my paper scraps, is just label or tab dies. And so I'll just quickly go through all these. I'm not going to pull out the journal cards. These ones are not decorated. That's just some of the paper, so you guys can kind of see what they look like, or the paper looks like in that paper pad. And as I use them in journals, or I might gift them in like swaps with people, junk journal swaps, then they can decorate them the way they want to. That one I was playing around with some stitches. I don't know if I really care for that one or not. I haven't decided. That one I forgot to stitch around the window, so that one didn't get stitched. So I made a pretty good start on that 7 Gypsies paper pad. And then when I was cutting out the paper, I did use an X-Acto knife, and I trimmed. And so I have these pieces that were from the insides of the envelopes right here. And so they were kind of more of a square shape. And I just took my Crop-A-Dile, and I just punched the sides to them to make it look like it had rounded edges. And so my plan for these, and I won't show these again, but is to put little eyelets in them, and then you can make little tags for journal pockets, or you could hang them off of tabs and stuff in your journals, kind of like I did with this one right here. Or you could use them kind of as labels, and you could cut out words and put across this way. I did have this punch right here, and my original plan was to punch out and use this piece right here, this one that's 2 5/8, to put it in the middle of some of these, so then I'd have a nice spot to stamp a word. But my punch died, so I did want to just show this